What's up, guys and girls? Welcome to another video. Faye has always been a mysterious character, and her reveal in Ragnarok is pretty cool since the series has gone out of its way to hide this character's appearance. However, one question still remains. How or why did she die? I think I may have the answer. Please make sure to like this video to help it out. I really do appreciate the support. Also, follow me on Twitter. I post more about God of War there and my opinions on other games. Without further ado, let's get right into the video. Faye's death is very odd, but we know some things about her death and what led up to it. During the God of War 2018 prequel comics, we learned that she would often leave her home around this time while Kratos looked after Atreus, and she'd leave for long periods of time. During the prequel comics, Kratos met a powerful seer. Faye would often talk to the seer, this witch, and bring Atreus along with her. She even told the seer everything about Kratos. Later, this witch would eventually die to protect Atreus. The book Lore and Legends told us Faye grew very weak and very quiet. Atreus noticed this and tried to read her feelings, which Faye joked about. Around this time, she would tell Kratos to chop down her handprint that was marked on certain trees and that she was dying. And when she does die, to spread her ashes across the highest peak in all the realms. Then her death came. Then she died. However, Faye, although dead, would somehow make an appearance in one way or another. The director said a piece of her was in Alfheim's light and she showed Kratos the entire journey. In God of War Ragnarok, while dreaming of her, the dream at some point stopped being a memory and Faye reached out to Kratos, leaving a handprint on his head, and somehow put her arm around Kratos as he slept. So how and why did she die? The answer lies in what we know about the Norse soul in God of War Ragnarok. In fact, I think Ragnarok was going to answer this question, but probably just ran out of time and didn't get to. I believed she caused her own death. She knew Kratos needed to go on the journey with Atreus, so she learned how to break down her own soul. And when the time was right, she spread her soul to remain around Kratos through the journey to help him when he needed it. Let me go into more detail. In God of War Ragnarok, Mimir explains the Norse soul and how it's broken up into 4 parts. Here is what he said.
Every living thing has a soul, and every soul has 4 parts: form, mind, direction, and luck. Direction steers the souls of giants, dwarves, elves, and animals toward the Lake of Souls in Alfheim, where all the parts may be absorbed back into Alfheim's great light.
Form, mind, direction, and luck. Faye has exhibited some of these pieces in God of War Ragnarok. I'm going to further explain the Norse soul. I won't go too in depth because this is pretty complicated, but I will leave a link to the official Norse mythology information page if you want to read the description for yourself. Also, a brilliant comment on Reddit further breaking down the Norse souls. So let's get into the Norse soul, and for me to prove to you that Faye broke down her own soul to help Kratos and Atreus throughout God of War 2018 and Ragnarok. And if this is true, she never actually left Kratos and Atreus. Anyways, let's talk about it. First, let's talk about form and direction. Form is a piece of the soul is described as one's appearance, shape, or skin that is observed not just through the physical, but through the senses. Forms can be changed and doesn't need to be consistent with the physical. In God of War terms, take Fenrir for example. At the start of the game, when Fenrir died, a piece of Fenrir's soul went with Atreus, and later put into Garm, changing the form of the soul. Another example is Yarmungandr and the other giant souls that were in the marbles. Yarmungandr's soul was put into the serpent, changing the soul's form. With Faye, she kept her form, but it can only be sensed. When Kratos was sleeping, she put her arm around Kratos, which Kratos held for a little bit. And his dream at the start of the game stopped being a dream where Faye herself appeared. And this is what happened in that scene after that little wolf.
Faye. Faye. Faye!
Time is running out, my love, and there is much to do.
Father! Father!
Brother?
Later, this is how Kratos described the dream.
Nightmares?
I dream of the past. Almost every night.
The bad old days? In Greece?
No. It feels like Faye is trying to tell me something.
You don't mean to say you're talking to ghosts again, brother?
No. But it is something more than memory.
He straight up said this dream felt different than the others. This is Faye's soul reaching out to Kratos, which Kratos can only sense. Next is direction, which is a little bit more complicated than form. The direction piece of a soul is described by an attendant spirit whose well-being is intimately tied to that of its owner. Its character and form are closely connected to the character of its owner. So if you are a violent person, then this part of your soul will be violent. If they are a good person, then this part of the soul will be good. It's depicted as traveling ahead of its owner, directly translating to follower, arriving at the intended destination before its owner, or appearing in the dreams of someone who will meet the owner the following day. Intriguingly, the term is also applied to the afterbirth, but the connection is mysterious and unclear. So basically, the way I interpret this is, to me, the part of the soul is mostly represented by Faye. She marked the journey first to show Kratos and Atreus the way. She went all the way up to Jotunheim, marking everything with this yellow color, which Kratos and Atreus obviously followed. If she really broke down her soul to follow Kratos and Atreus, this would make sense that she appeared in the dream. Remember the reason why she gave Kratos the mark at the start of God of War Ragnarok? Because she wanted him to wake up and notice that Atreus isn't there, which would cause Kratos to go look for him, which would make them ready when Thor arrived. Just like in God of War 2018, when she pretty much jump-started the journey by telling Kratos to cut down the trees. Faye is pretty much the cause of a lot of stuff in God of War Ragnarok, always directing where Kratos and Atreus to go. Atreus following the spirit of Faye. Another part of her soul was in Alfheim's light as well, which I think is a representation of the soul called mind, the soul piece called mind, which is pretty much the mind of the person. It's not really that complicated. I don't need to go too in depth, but the fact that she showed Kratos the entire journey once you walk in the light, I think that this is Faye's mind guiding Kratos once again. But one question remains: how did she learn how to break down her soul? Well, with a little help from a witch who lived close to her. Remember at the start of the video I mentioned the seer? Well, she was very powerful, and Faye trusted her so much she told Kratos his past, often brought Atreus over there as well, so it could be assumed that Faye told this seer everything that would happen. Faye knew that they needed to go to Jotunheim, so Faye thought if she died, then this would jumpstart the journey, but her spirit could still follow them and be with them when they needed her. This seer also thought Atreus was so important that she gave her life to protect him, and before she died, she told Kratos that this was basically going to happen, that it had to happen. So that's my theory. I think Faye wanted to break down her soul to be with Kratos and Atreus, and I think that all the moments that we saw in God of War Ragnarok where Faye kind of made an appearance, I think this is the reason. And if this is true, it just means that Faye never really died. She was always just around them in a place where they really couldn't see her. And I think that's beautiful storytelling. But let me know your thoughts on my theory. I know that this was a longer type of video, had a lot of information on it, but I hope it was easy to follow for you and I didn't confuse you along the way. I'm gonna be out of here. Thank you guys and girls for listening. Deuces.